Hey everybody, thanks for pressing play. Brian here from Fitzpatrick's Garage, a family-run business in operation for almost 70 years. In this video, I want to show you the different choices you have when it comes to specification on a brand new Tucson. So you're going to have to choose between either petrol hybrid or diesel. And the other thing you need to choose is one of three trims. So the first trim is Comfort Plus, second one is Executive, and the third one is Executive Plus. And I'll do my best to cover as much as I can in the video, but if there's any questions you have on the car, call, text, WhatsApp, whatever suits, 086 843 1945. And I'll be happy to go through information in terms of financing, in terms of warranty, in terms of information or specifications on the car, or if you want to find out about scrapping your car, or if you have a car to trade in, if you want to have a rough indication as to what that is, just let me know and I'll do my best to help. To give you an overview, the way I'm going to work the video is, first of all, we're going to look at the two engine types, and once we've completed that, then we'll start looking at the different levels of trim. Just one other point to note before we get started: if anyone is curious about the differences between the new model and the old model in the Tucson, I have this other video here. Hopefully this annotation works. Just click that and it's going to show you the main differences between the 2019-20 model versus the 2021 model. Anyway, let's get started by having a look at how this engine works in the 1.6 diesel. Initially, when this car came out back in 16, actually the predecessor, it was a 1.7 115 horsepower diesel engine. Now it's a 1.6 115 horsepower diesel engine. So this engine actually is much more efficient and cleaner than the predecessor that went before it. One thing of note actually in these cars, there was always a lovely gear shifter in the Tucson, but it's got a nice round shifter now as well, so it feels really nice. In terms of how the car drives, it's quite responsive. Most people, actually pretty much everyone that goes for a test drive in these cars, they always come back and they're always happy with how it drives. In terms of this section here, is just to give you an idea how it accelerates, but I do realise it's not very good camera work, but I have to improve on the equipment. So basically that's what the diesel is like. There is also a diesel automatic, and the diesel automatic is going to be more horsepower, so it's closer to 137 horsepower, and it's got a 7-speed DCT dual clutch transmission. The only thing we're finding about it is, though, the price point that it's at compared to the hybrid. I think a lot of people are going to go for hybrid. If they want an automatic car, they might have come in and bought the automatic diesel before, but that was the only automatic choice they had, whereas now they've got a really good hybrid option as well. So let's have a look at the hybrid. This is fun. Everyone that drives this car, the first thing they note when they get into it, it doesn't have a gear shifter because it's automatic, so it has these buttons to go forwards and backwards and park. 231 horsepower, that's why it's fun. It is approximately 183 horsepower from the engine, and the remaining 48 comes from the electric battery motor setup. In terms of driving the car though, here's the thing: if you look at the revolution counter, it's not moving. We're moving, but it's not actually moving. So you get to creep around town in this car without using any fuel, and that's the beauty of the hybrid. It's nice and quiet, but as you see here, we're actually not using fuel driving out the road, and that's where this car gets a chance to be economical until you put your foot down. At which point the engine will engage, and both the electric motor and the petrol engine will get you up to 100 kilometers an hour in 8 seconds. That's fast for a car, never mind an SUV. Now here's the thing, some people are going to get confused here about which fuel type they should buy. So think about it this way: cheapest one is going to be the diesel to buy, middle one's going to be the hybrid, and then the automatic diesel is going to be the most expensive. So for someone that wants bang for buck, the least expensive car means the least amount of money gone out. Buy the diesel. That is going to be your best value for money in terms of your return. However, the people that are buying the hybrid, I find, they want the new technology, or they want an automatic car, or they want 230 horsepower. And that's actually what they're doing. The car's going to be worth a little bit more secondhand, but I still think it's going to be more of an emotional decision rather than being cheaper. Overall, it's going to be cheaper to buy the diesel car because you've spent less buying it in the first place. The hybrid car can be very efficient if you adapt your driving style, but you won't get the extra 3.5 grand back. So what I'm saying to you is, there's got to be more than just figures. It's about maybe how the car drives as well. But if you were to compare the petrol hybrid, which is the middle price, to the more expensive automatic diesel, the only people that are going to buy the automatic diesel, I think, are people that are going up and down the motorway all day, every day. So the hybrid driver, creeping around town under 100 kilometers an hour, very economical, but on a motorway, the diesel is still more economical at 120 kilometers an hour. So if you're doing long kilometers and doing 120 kilometers an hour quite a lot, you're better off, and you want an automatic, then you're better off buying the automatic diesel then, if that makes sense. Anyway, now we know about the engine options on the car, so we're going to start looking at the trim levels. So like we were saying, there's 3 trim levels. This one here is what's a Comfort Plus. So this is actually the foundation. Everything standard in this car is standard on the Tucson. These Angel DRLs, they're savage, they're really cool looking. Here's your headlight in through here, and your indicator is recessed down through there. But the front end of this car is like nothing on the road at the moment. That big grille with those daytime running lights, which are also your parking lights as well, they're damn cool. The wheels are a nice 17-inch wheel, and Michelin tyres are brilliant tyres. And they're a diamond cut wheel as well, so they're nice and shiny and reflective. The rear lights in the car are very, very cool looking, and the shape overall, again, nothing like the previous model, and in my opinion, again, really striking and nothing like what's on the road right now. And what I like in these cars on the entry model, there's no chrome, everything's black. So the grille is black, down along the bottom is black, all the way down the arches along the side is black. So all the way around the windows is black as well, and in around to the rear, if you look around the rear window, and also down here along the bottom of the bumper, as well as along the taillights. No chrome, all black, and it goes really well. There's nice contrast there. The taillights, as we were saying, very interesting, very, very eye-catching. And one small thing even, they've managed to take the rear wiper off the car and recess it up under the spoiler so you don't see it. It looks cool. In terms of the boot then, the boot is really, really big. So the previous model had a boot that was around just over 500 litres in size. This one here has moved up to 615 litres, so it is considerably bigger when you have stuff in the back. And a spare wheel still remains a standard, which is still pretty rare on a lot of cars these days as manufacturers move into tyre deflation kits, which a lot of people aren't happy with. Getting into the rear of the car then, there's some nice materials on the door card, so you have nice little bits of brushed aluminium along the door and also around the door handles, Chi-Lux, and then rear electric windows down through here as well. 3 head restraints, 3 3-point safety belts, eyes of fixed points on either side, and a nice big armrest in through the centre as well. And another point of interest is that it's definitely bigger than the predecessor. So if you look at this car, it's actually longer by about 20 millimeters than the predecessor, and the distance between the rear wheel and the front wheel is about 10 millimeters longer, and that allows more cabin space. The front actually hasn't changed too much, but nobody was ever unhappy with that in the first place. But the rear, it's a small bit extra, but it actually does make a difference. So if your family is now getting bigger, you're coming out of the older Tucson, that's going to be a good thing because there's more space for the kids back here as well. But even for adults, there's a really good amount of legroom in the back of the car, and the seats, like before, they are also reclinable, so you can have them at different settings as well, which is really nice as an adult. Moving into the front of the car then, so this is a cloth interior on this Comfort Plus model. That seat and steering wheel are completely adjustable up and down and in and out. So in terms of the steering wheel, it's a nice multifunction steering wheel with 2 spokes either side. Trip computer in through here, which we're going to talk about in a while, but that's things like your average speed and your fuel efficiency and stuff like that. There's controls over here then for cruise control, and there's also controls down here for turning on and off things like your lane keep function as well. On the left hand side of the steering wheel then, there's controls over here which control the radio, and you can also manipulate things like Bluetooth as well as all other audio functions. Like we're saying, the steering wheel, nothing like the previous model, so unusual the way the spokes are laid out, and it's a nice leather coating as well. On the right hand side there's wiper controls, and on the left hand side you have automated lights. What I mean by that is they come on at night time, but they also dip when they meet traffic, and what's cool is you can also see what setting your wipers or lights are left on using the dashboard in front of you, which is damn cool. Over here where there is an armrest, there is some drinks holders, there is a automatic park brake with hill assist in through here. The gear knob's lovely, come try it yourself, it's a really nice gear shifter. There is heated seats on this car, but just ignore one thing, this one has a heated steering wheel, but that's not normal, so that's a bit of an anomaly on this one. There's different driving modes as well, which is going to reduce how aggressive throttle response and air conditioner controls is. And here's the thing, this is a reverse camera, but you can actually have it on when you're driving forward, which I think is really cool. 2 USB points. Up over that then, there is really straightforward and simple to use heating controls, which are completely functional. I love that simplicity. Reverse camera then when you go backwards, like we were saying, and in through there then you'll have all the controls for the radio, and it looks elaborate, but you know what, it's really intuitive and easy to use. And it also has things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well, so that means you're going to be able to use all your phone's apps as well as Google Maps. Just an observation, everything's gone lower on this car in terms of the dash, so everything is placed below it. And actually the previous model, some people used to complain that the visibility wasn't as good because they were sitting a bit low compared to the dash. Anyway, here are the clocks on the Comfort Plus. So the reason I'm showing you these is this will change as you move up through the specs. I like these clocks, you can customise the background colour, and you know what, they're simple, straightforward, and they give you all the information that you need. Anyway, so now you've got a better idea of basically the engine types, and you know the platform basis of the Comfort Plus, which means you know what comes standard on the car. So the next thing is we're going to move from the Comfort Plus, which is the white one here, to this teal coloured one here, which is what's called an Executive. So first of all, this one here is a Comfort Plus, and this one here is an Executive. Right, one thing to note, if you go for a hybrid Comfort Plus, it looks the exact same. If you go for a diesel Comfort Plus, it looks the exact same. If you go for an Executive diesel, you get an 18-inch wheel down through here, but if you go for an Executive hybrid, you get a 17-inch wheel, so just be careful of that. Anyone that's buying a diesel, they're going to get an 18-inch wheel like this, which is a nice diamond cut wheel. However, if you buy a hybrid in an Executive, you get a 17-inch wheel, so just be careful of that. And apart from the difference in the wheels, the only main difference on a Comfort Plus versus an Executive is a privacy glass setup. So this is dark windows along through here, whereas on here you can see they're UV tinted but not a dark privacy tint. One other thing which I find interesting is the rear window is not tinted, usually for better visibility on the rear on either car. So the older model of the Tucson had tint, tint and tint here, whereas the new model, tint on each side but not on the rear, so just be careful of that again. And again, the next difference then is if you have a Executive model like this, you get a height adjustable passenger seat, which you don't on the Comfort Plus. And just as a quick refresh, the Comfort Plus had a cloth seat, with an analog style cluster. Again, back in the Comfort Plus, up through here, there's some storage, and your heating is one zone, so it's one heating system even for the whole car. The Executive, on the other hand, then has a wireless charging pad down through here, depending on your phone type, obviously, and it's also got dual zone climate control, so you can have different temperatures on each side of the car. And the climate setup here also has an auto defogging system for the vehicle. The Executive model has automatic lights just like the Comfort Plus, however it also gets automatic wipers as well. Another point to note is just in terms of dimensions and layout, the two cars are really going to be identical, so the only thing that changes from Comfort Plus as far as Executive is the level of features that are in the vehicle. Another cool thing that's actually in the back of the Executive, which is not on Comfort Plus, 2 USB charging points. So they're going to be handy for kids or adults. When we were in the Comfort Plus, when we were driving it, we also had a little device that told us what speed limit we're in, but the difference with the Executive is it also has the ability to help you maintain your speed within those speed limits. The entertainment between Comfort and Comfort Plus, it is literally identical in through here, but the big thing obviously is these clocks in through here. And there's another setup on this which has ambient lighting, which lights up in around here and down here in the pockets as well. The ambient lighting can be set so you can have different levels of how bright you want it. In this case, I'm going to go with the highest level, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle back out through here. And it also gives you a choice of colours: white, there's blue, there's green, there's yellow, lots of different colours. And just, it's hard to see it during the day here at the moment, but if I pick a red, you can see it changes to red, or if I go purple or violet or back into yellow. So it's changing, and it's quite nice at night time. And similarly down here, I just have the white piece of paper to show you when I go down through the different colours. You can see it's actually changing in through there as well, and that's on both sides of the car as well. On an Executive model is you can change the cluster setup. So what you can have is different themes, so you can change the clocks depending if you like. Well, the white one actually is quite cool, I think, this year. But down into the classic model, which is what you see in front of you, or you can go into a more sporty mode, or you can go into this kind of classic eco mode. And the cube one is pretty interesting when you're driving. It's very, very cool actually. I like it, and it's not something I initially would have liked. I like big clocks in the car, but I think this is really, really funky. So like we were saying, that is the difference between Comfort Plus and Executive. So basically, if you go for hybrid or if you go for diesel, you're really going to get the exact same car, except like what we were saying, the hybrid car, if you go for Executive in a diesel, it'll have 18-inch wheels, but if you go for a hybrid Executive, you'll end up with a 17-inch wheel instead, and it is the 17-inch wheel that's on the Comfort Plus. Other than that, in terms of, there'll always be small bits and pieces of information that are hard to relay in a video, so just give us a shout and I'll be able to go through it much more accurately, but that's a pretty sound overview. So unfortunately the weather is deteriorating a bit, so let's move from the Executive that we just looked at into the Executive Plus models. So the Executive, starting off at the front, the big grille is a dark grey colour, whereas when you go to the Executive Plus, it is more of a chrome, a dark chrome kind of effect. And actually what's cool about that is it hides those lights when the car is turned off and the vehicle is parked, and it just gives it a much more kind of dark, stealthy look at the front. The other thing as well is, if you have a look, sorry, I have an umbrella here now at the moment because the weather's gone so bad. So along here you have halogen headlights in through there, whereas if you move over here, these are a nice LED, so you see that they're much whiter and brighter, and it also has bending bulbs as well, so when you're turning into a junction, the likes of the lights on this Executive Plus model are actually going to turn in conjunction with your steering wheel. So I'm just looking back, do you know what, it's a nice kind of classy upmarket look. See the way they're just a lot brighter on this side than they are in the Executive. Sorry, it's hard to hold an umbrella and point at the same time. One point of note, again, there is also caveats in terms of the wheels. So this one on the right, which is silver, is a Executive Plus diesel. The one on the left in black is an Executive Plus hybrid. So the reason I'm saying that to you is, this one here has an 18-inch wheel, like what we saw on the Executive. So a diesel Executive and Executive Plus gets an 18-inch wheel, whereas a hybrid Executive weirdly gets a 17-inch wheel, but it gets a 19-inch wheel on the Executive Plus. So just to recap, Executive and Executive Plus diesel, they'll get an 18-inch wheel, whereas Executive Hybrid gets a 17-inch wheel, but Executive Plus Hybrid gets a 19-inch wheel. Oh yeah, and one other thing before I forget, the indicators on the front are an LED on the Executive Plus models, whereas all the ones we've seen before that were halogen. So the Comfort Plus and the Executive, as a quick reminder, had this 8-inch screen, which was quite useful, but when you move into Executive Plus, then you get this absolutely ginormous 10.25-inch screen. So it pretty much dominates the whole car at the front. Right, anyway, to get into it, I am not familiar with this yet. I got to learn a bit more about it. So let's go into the home screen. Like the map is just massive. So I think that's really, really cool. After that, then usual stuff, navigation, phone. I mean, again, look, it's going to do, like phone projection is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's going to do all the stuff that the other one did. But I just think it's a little bit nicer and it's a little bit more upmarket and it's a little bit more contemporary, because we all like kind of, well, not we all, but a lot of people like big screens and stuff like that. And the cool thing is it's going to have Hyundai Blue Link, which is going to allow you to use a lot of new features on the cars, which I still have to learn about myself. And the other thing as well then is the Plus model will have a heated steering wheel. So we saw so far all the cars had heated seats. Weirdly, we had one car in a Comfort Plus that had heated steering wheel, but that's not normal. So normally they all have heated seats, whereas you got to go to the Plus if you want the heated steering wheel. All the previous models we looked at so far had a key that allows us to start the car and get in and out of it, whereas when you go to Executive Plus, we have this fob and you can leave that in your pocket and get in and out of the car, and it's also got this start stop button in here as well. The other internal feature actually as well is on an Executive Plus you get front parking sensors. And just to clarify again, so the Comfort Plus model will have a camera, the Executive model will have a camera and rear sensors, and then the Executive Plus will have camera, rear sensors and front sensors as well. The other point to note as well, if you look down on the bumper down low, you'll see the way it's black, whereas on the Executive Plus models they have a nice silver skid plate. And let's move around to the back of the car, because there's some really funky stuff happening with the taillights on the rear. So, and I think, do you know what, with the Executive Pluses, they are going to stand out on the road. But then again, look, they are a more expensive vehicle to buy. So along here you have the nice taillights on the Executive, whereas if you look over here, it's got the bar that goes all the way across the back. And these ones are a halogen style taillight, whereas these ones are an LED with intricate designs in between them. So again, just take note of that. Similar looking lights at the start, but then when you start looking closely, the Executive Plus is more of LED and it's got the bar going across. And the other thing as well is, if you look down low, there's exhausts and there's also skid plates. And what I mean by the skid plates are little silver sections down low, whereas they're not on the Executive model. And while we're here as well, if you look on the rear, there's this black section here on the rear C-pillar which goes up around the window, whereas the C-pillar section over here has a chrome section which again goes up around the window. So you got chrome, you got an umbrella that's gone the wrong direction, but you got basically black, and over here then Executive Plus you got chrome. Apologies, I know the camera work's not great there towards the end, but the weather really has gone south. So that is hopefully good. Oh yeah, one other thing. Some of you that have Tucsons already, or some of you don't, but like a different coloured interior, you might have noticed so far that all the cars have a black leather interior. So there is a point of note here, and rather than trying to detail in the video, you're better off giving us out direct or contact your local dealer or whatever suits, because there is going to be a beige interior, which is actually called a grey interior. That's fine, that's quite nice. But there's a bit of a caveat with it. It is slightly more expensive because it comes at the moment with a different coloured roof. So you are going to have certain times where a dealer might say to you, okay, we can only get that car with a different coloured roof. I'm going to show you. So like what we've seen so far then, there is nice black leather in all these cars. However, if you look at this car here, it's got the grey interior, which is really, really nice. There are only little white transport coverings along through there, so the dashboard is the exact same in around the infotainment area, but as you can see, a lot of the dash is also a much lighter colour. A lot of people used to like that before, so you might then want to specify that, but you might be told, okay, you can only get that with a different coloured roof. So if you have a look along through here, it's not immediately obvious. The car looks black, but as you can see, moving up this A pillar, the wing mirror and this A pillar all the way up along here, down into this what's called a C pillar, onto the spoiler along the back. So the body is black, but it's actually what's called dark night, which is basically grey to you and me. So this car is a black car with a grey roof, or otherwise known as dark night, with a grey interior. So again, it's going to be impossible to detail all those options on a video, so just contact the dealer or contact ourselves and we'll be able to talk you through that. Anyway, there you have it guys. It's not all encompassing. There is going to be definitely some stuff that I've missed, and even I see actually I forgot to say on those Executive Pluses, it looks like you can create different user profiles, probably related to the key, maybe not, I'm not sure, I'll have to find out. But hopefully it's given you some idea. If you managed to watch the whole lot of it, fair play to you. So thanks very much for doing it. And if you think the video is useful, please do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Anyway, if there's information you want, call, text, WhatsApp 086 843 1945. We are Fitzpatrick's Garage, family-run business in operation for almost 70 years. Brian is my name here. The car will come with a long warranty for 5 years and roadside assist for 5 years. Depending what kind of deals you're doing, then you'll be offered low APR finance or scrappage, or things like scrappage or free servicing as well. Anyway, hopefully the video has been useful. Thanks a million for taking time to watch, and if there's anything I've missed, let me know in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer it, or just give me a shout. Thank you.